much, Chancellor Wilson. It is a great honor. I am very grateful for this very warm introduction. I would like to thank Dean Brown for having me here, for hosting me. It's a great honor to be back here on the campus. I'm very glad to see my favorite professors, Professor Morgan Linge, and I'm particularly grateful to him for joining us today. Professor Roger Kennedy, who was our supervisor of our program. I am so glad to see you all, and I am really overwhelmed to be back on this campus. Although campus changed during the last 20 years, since 1998, when I got my Master of Science degree from the University of Illinois, I am glad to notice that warmth of the student body have not changed, and also passion of the professors and administrations to teach have not changed, and it is still very strong. As part of my trip to the United States, I am visiting 4 cities in 5 days. And I really have to tell you that coming here is hands down a major highlight of my trip. I am really honored to be joined by all of you, and I am very grateful to the students who came today to meet and greet me. Today I would like to talk to you about my country, Georgia, and the importance of US-Georgian relationship and my vision for my country. But first, I hope you will all allow me to share about my experience at the University of Illinois and how it shaped me into the person who I am today. For me, the concept of cooperation between our two countries is much more than an abstract notion. It is something I experienced firsthand as a student, and that is an experience I still cherish today. In the 90s, when enrolling in the top American schools of higher education seemed nearly impossible, I was given the opportunity to pursue graduate studies at the University of Illinois as a Muskie Graduate Fellow, as part of a program funded by U.S. State Department. This experience was nothing short of life-changing. The academic program here taught me a new way to think about solving problems and provided me the training and skills I needed to pursue a career in finance. It helped me later to become CEO of one of the largest commercial banks in Georgia. And also, it helped me to do consulting assignments internationally, consulting other countries how to build the architecture of their pension systems, advising countries on building bond markets, and also advising countries on reforming financial sectors. Beyond learning to read balance sheet and to conduct break-even analysis, my time at U of I profoundly shaped me and my understanding of America. Many young people these days do not have a strong memory of the Cold War, but my generation still remembers it and the final days of the Soviet Union very clearly. By that time, when I was selected as a Muskie Fellow, my desire was to study free market economy in America. But coming here was not as easy decision for me. In 97, I was already married, and I had 3 kids. And it was a great sacrifice to leave all of them for more than 1 year, since I really could not afford to take all of them here to Champaign-Urbana. When I arrived, I did not fully understand that I was not only visiting a country, but also joining a new community and establishing new network of relationships in the United States. It turned out to be a very special experience for me. While here, I became a fan of American football. I was mesmerized by jazz and blues festivals in the parks and in open-air festivals. And of course, I remember very well the friendly attitude of people in Champaign-Urbana. As I got to know my classmates, I really wanted to share a part of Georgian culture with them. I remember when Georgian National Dance Ballet group, which is worldly famous, came to perform in Kranert Center. I invited 16 of my friends to watch the show. And I was so proud sitting in the hall and watching with tears in my eyes how my friends were enjoying Georgian culture. And it was very emotional for me. By the way, I was paying off my credit card debts for several years for that particular show. So we often say in Georgia that when abroad we become ambassadors of our own country. But I can also say that when returned from the United States to Georgia, I really became a cultural ambassador of the United States in Georgia. Next month, Georgia celebrates 25th anniversary of regaining independence. In a short period of time, Georgia has transformed itself from a country ravaged by a civil war into a modern, democratic, and dynamic state. And there still remains a lot of work to be done. Georgia of today is another world compared to 2 decades ago. Every area of our country, from health and education to the economy and democracy, rule of law, and human rights, has progressed dramatically. Allow me to provide you a quick snapshot of Georgia. We are a small, strategically located country of nearly 4 million population. We are a democracy. We believe in a free, open, and transparent business environment. According to the World Bank, we are one of the easiest countries in the world to do business in. We have 9th lowest tax burdens in the world, according to the World Economic Forum, and we can bring few examples. Company profit tax is 15%, personal income tax is 20%, the VAT is 18%, and taxes are flat, non-increasing. I can add to that according to our new reform agenda, profit tax from January 1st of the next year will be zero unless it is distributed. We have eradicated corruption. Over the last 5 years, we have attracted billions of foreign direct investments and unemployment has dropped. FDI in Georgia amounted to $1.75 billion in 2014, the highest yearly indicator since 2007. In 2015, FDI inflows summed up to $1.4 billion, which is still highest during last 5 years. We have universal health care and a strong education system, meaning a healthy and intelligent workforce. In terms of our worldview and overall foreign policy, we see ourselves as a modern Western nation. We have deep and robust relations with the European Union and NATO and are on course to join those two organizations in the nearest future. Georgia sits between Asia and Europe and seeks to maintain good relations with those throughout the region. We have become a key link in the new Silk Road, tying together economies from Beijing to Brussels. Frankly, getting to this point has not been easy, and we've faced a fierce struggle against many forces, both foreign and domestic, that have sought to slow our progress. Despite external challenges, Georgia's commitment to peace and home and in the region endures, and in this we share common purpose with the United States. The support of the United States has been crucial, I would say existential, to our success, and America remains our premier strategic ally. The Georgian people are, of course, the main heroes of this story, making hard sacrifices, adapting to a new world, and committing to a constructive path to the future. But our loyal friends in America have been integral to this journey. As a result, the U.S. is a dedicated friend to Georgia, stable geopolitical ally and strategic partner. We are the only country in our region which has strategic partnership charter with the United States that covers many important areas such as economic cooperation, cooperation in the fields of culture, and also military cooperation. Being a country with 3.7 million population, we are one of the largest, second largest contributor to resolute support mission in Afghanistan. And this is a big sacrifice from our country. 33 Georgian soldiers were killed in Afghanistan during this mission. As the US has always stood with us, we stand with you in your efforts to ensure a more peaceful world. I know that the United States has a great deal to offer to Georgia, and that Georgia has a great deal to offer to the United States. Again, in addition to increased security cooperation, we must create closer economic ties. And this is one of the reasons why we are in the United States. We have an investment roadshow visiting Chicago, Boston, New York, and we have very interesting meetings with local business communities. Now our vision and reform agenda for Georgia. We have a very ambitious 4-point reform agenda for Georgia. And these reforms covers fundamental areas for modernizing Georgia into a truly European state. First of all, this is about fundamentally reforming Georgia's education system to get finally rid of any Soviet legacy in our education system. First of all, this is about fundamental reforms in secondary education. This is about prioritizing financing for higher education so that we finance those professions which are most needed, and for this we launched comprehensive labor market survey where we will identify concrete needs for today and for 5 years from now. And also we will place more emphasis on professional education, arranging more public-private partnerships with private sector, and there we are duplicating German model of dual education system. Second block of the reforms is about economic liberalization. This is about abolishing profit tax starting from the beginning of the next year. We are introducing Estonian model of tax system where only distributed earnings will be taxed. Also, more importantly, we are liberalizing tax administration so that tax officials will become more business-friendly and bank accounts will not be frozen unless there is a court decision. And also, as part of economic reforms, we are introducing a startup financing facility, startup financing fund, under the Innovation and Technology Center, which was recently opened in Georgia. This is the first center of its kind, where young people, innovative people, students will be able to get financing for innovative projects without pledging their parents' property for collateral, as it is conventional in the commercial banking sector. Third block of the reforms is spatial development of Georgia, which is about speeding up to create main spinal infrastructure of highways and roads connecting main tourism destinations. This is a very important project where we see important role for the private sector to engage private sector more and more to arrange more concessions and PPPs so that financing burden will be shifted from sovereign balance sheet to the private sector. And also, fourth block of the reforms, but maybe one of the most important, is fundamental change in the governance system, where we are introducing unified front office of the government to cover the needs of all individuals and legal entities under one roof, single window principle, so that all the front offices of existing government agencies will be merged under single window principle. And of course, the physical space will be equipped with state-of-the-art communication technologies to have excellent communication with the back offices, and the back offices will be moved from the center of Tbilisi, capital of Georgia, to the suburbs, and by doing this, we will free up a lot of space for office development and for hotels and real estate. Additionally to that, we are introducing new pension system in the next year and also launching a capital market reform so that investment resources that will be generated by pension system will be absorbed by the local stock market. But we can already proudly say that major institutions, financial institutions in Georgia are already listed in London Stock Exchange, and also some of the insurance companies are already listed at London Stock Exchange. This is a very ambitious agenda, and of course this requires security, and for this our foreign policy aspirations towards Europe and towards NATO are very strong, very consistent, and we think that during the last years, despite all the challenges of occupation and territorial problems with Russia, we were able to cool down the temperature and to provide enough security for Georgia to develop, to grow, and to attract investments. In closing, I would like to thank you again for your interest in Georgia. I hope you will leave here today with a new appreciation for the importance of US-Georgian relationship as a driver of security and prosperity regionally and globally. I also hope you will all visit Georgia. I am obviously biased, but Georgia is a truly wonderful place. In a very small country, we have packed in beautiful seaside destinations, fantastic mountains, and historic sites. Our people are famous for their hospitality, and our food and wine are delicious. And Georgia, by the way, is a cradle of winemaking in the world. My trip here has been short, but I plan to follow up with the administration to figure out how we can get more UI students to Georgia and explore potential of further cooperation. To the students in this audience, I really encourage you to absorb as much as you can in your time here and not take your experience here for granted. Push yourself to expand your horizons by encountering new ideas and people different than yourself. To the budding businessmen and businesswomen in this room, if you come to Georgia, we will welcome you with open arms, and you will find one of the most business-friendly environments in the world. And to the faculty and administrators, I want to thank you for your great work in shaping the leaders of tomorrow. My time as a student here was truly life-changing, and I cherish my ties to this great institution. Thank you very much. Thank you.